Good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Jeremy Baker here on this Friday afternoon. I'm in for Bill Taylor today on 4 and 5 o'clock newscast, and then Bill will be in tonight at 6 and 10 as the severe weather rolls on in. Of course, following along on Facebook, so feel free to ask any questions, any comments, tell me what you had for lunch, whatever you want to say. Send me a joke. All right, so here's a live look around town. Things are quiet right now. No rain to be found. You can see Morgan's Wonderland Camp, some cumulus congestus clouds. Same thing at Calaveras Lake. Skycam looking at downtown, a little hazy out there. San Antonio Airport, pretty much the same thing. It is a hot and hazy day outside, but that cold front is on the way and it's going to bring us some storms and also take away a lot of this heat. All right, let's get into it. We have a KENS 5 weather impact alert days today and into the first half of tomorrow. Really, it's going to be overnight tonight into tomorrow, early tomorrow morning, that we're under the gun for widespread severe weather, mostly in the northwestern half of our area. And you can see scattered early storms, maybe a few isolated ones through about 9 to 10 o'clock tonight, and then more widespread, but mostly northwest of San Antonio for the most part, for the severe threat as we head into the overnight. And large hail, the main threat out of these storms as they push through, because they're elevated, they're not at the surface. You need them to be at the surface, built off the surface in order for tornadoes to happen. That threat is really north and east of our area, so it's the hail threat because these storms are elevated. In other words, they're forming elevated in the atmosphere, not at the ground. That's why there's no tornado threat, or a very limited one, and it's mostly a hail threat. Nothing like that happening right now, just plain old very warm and hazy. 87 at the San Antonio Airport, Stinson at 90. Definitely could use a breeze to help cool us off. We don't have anything like that right now. Winds are calm. The dew point's at 69 degrees, so it's pretty high up there, close to the tropical range. So it definitely feels very humid as you step outside, even though that humidity is 55%. So we have a lot of moisture in the air. That's going to help add to that instability. Temperatures across the area, we once again see a wide range, and you can really tell where the front is by taking a look at this. Pretty much dissecting the hill country in half, just about where you see the orange turn to yellow. That's where the front is. So you can see south of that, we've got hot temperatures, 95 Cotulla, 95 in Pearsall, 90 Floresville, Seguin, New Braunfels. To the north of the front, where you see the yellows and greens, that's where much cooler air is residing. 63 in Junction, 74 Fredericksburg, 72 Rock Springs, Eagle Pass right around that front right now, a temperature of 82. So much cooler behind the front. That's also fueling it with that instability. Here's that humidity forecast. So today, we're close to the 70s, so humid to tropical. After that front pushes through, a huge drop very quickly in that humidity, along with the temperatures. We'll see that dew point crash down to the 30s or 40s by Sunday morning. And low temperatures in San Antonio Sunday morning, low 40s. Wouldn't be surprised to see some hill country locations come close to freezing, but we should stay above freezing, so really not that concerned about frost or freeze or anything like that. But it's kind of crazy. We're talking about 90s now, and we're talking about close to freezing in 2 days. But the humidity goes back up as we head through next week. Not too high, though, in the comfortable range, or pleasant all the way through next Friday. All right, here is the radar and satellite composite across south central Texas. You do see some clouds in our eastern counties, so Gonzales, Cuero, a lot of the clouds are breaking up. Not a whole lot of cloud cover for the rest of our area. San Antonio, we'll say partly cloudy. Areas to the west like Eagle Pass, Uvalde, it's all sunshine. And that's going to help fuel the atmosphere to give us more instability and help provide some of that uplift along with that front for the possibility for those strong to severe storms. The Storm Prediction Center has the severe weather outlook for today and tonight. This is a slight risk for San Antonio, Bexar County, and all counties to the west and to the north for us, and northeast towards Austin. And that's a level 2 out of 5, a slight risk. Outside of that, marginal, and that's for all areas outside of there. So we're all under some kind of risk for severe weather tonight, into tonight and early tomorrow. Again, that main threat is going to be large hail as we head past the early morning hours tomorrow. This is technically day 2, that should say Saturday. Technically, this is day 2 that we're looking at here. And that's from 6 a.m. tomorrow through 6 a.m. Sunday. That severe weather threat moves east towards East Texas, moves out of our area. So definitely some good news. We do still have this kind of a light, I guess I call that light green color. And that just shows us there's still a chance for rain and isolated storms, but nothing severe. That threat pushes to the east, where you see the darker green east of Austin towards Houston. Hello, George Cruz. Hope you're having a wonderful Friday. Fabulous Friday. All right, here's the water vapor imagery. Typically between storms, we see much drier air moving through. That's denoted by the darker black colors or the orange. Not seeing a lot of that. We see a lot of that milky white over top of south central Texas, and that shows us there's a decent amount of moisture in the atmosphere. And once again, that moisture the temperatures, and that front all combining to give us the instability that we need for the possibility of these storms. And you see along the west coast, now moving east of the west coast, really the desert southwest, that spin right there is the upper level area of low pressure associated with the front that's going to move through. This front really hasn't moved a whole lot in the last couple of days. That upper low is finally going to push it through and get it out of here, but it's going to take another day or so to do that. What is the difference between the dollar and Miami heat? The dollar bill still gives you 4 quarters. I like that one. That's perfect for Final Four weekend too. I need to screenshot that one. I do screenshot all of your jokes. Most of your jokes, the ones I really like, they're all really great though. Thank you, David. Why won't it screen grab it? Let's try this button. There we go. It's hitting the wrong button. All right. 4 quarters. All right, so that's the water vapor imagery there to show you the bigger picture. Here's the futurecast. Now keep your eyes on the clock in the upper right-hand corner of your screen saying 5 o'clock today. Notice we do have some showers, some rain, precipitation popping up on the radar north and east of San Antonio. And as we head into the early evening hours, watch what happens here. It doesn't move a whole lot. This is pretty much where the front's going to be around 7 p.m. Now it might be a little bit north or a little bit south, but the best chance for any very isolated severe storms will be into the early evening. I would say between, say, about 5 o'clock and 9 or 10 o'clock would be north and east of Bexar County. It could be, say, northward toward Bernie, Kerrville, Fredericksburg. This model is showing New Braunfels, San Marcos. Now, any storm that does form, wherever that might be, will contain heavy downpours, lots of lightning, and the threat for that very large hail. We're talking 1 inch or larger, baseball size or larger, probably not that much larger than that, but the best chance for that, again, will be north and to the east of San Antonio. That's through about the mid-evening hours. So if you have plans outside, if you're going out to any Final Four activities downtown or anything else, especially if you're in really north of Bexar County and north and eastward, definitely keep your phone handy, keep checking back to the KENS 5 News app, and we'll keep you updated. And if possible, watch the newscasts. But also, if you're out, though, keep an eye to the sky, most definitely. So that's through the mid-evening hours. Let's put it into motion. Not a whole lot happens until we get to, say, about midnight, 1 o'clock. And that's when we see off to the west, this is that upper low finally pushing through with all of its energy. This is 1 a.m. We'll see some more storms develop off to the west, north of where that cold front is. So by about 1 a.m., that front has moved south of San Antonio. And these storms that do form, again, there is that threat for large hail, but likely not quite as large as what these isolated storms could do earlier on. But this will be more widespread. More areas will see the rain once we get to the midnight hour and just beyond that into the early overnight. And that's where you see the pink. Now, it doesn't mean exactly where this pink is. That's where it's going to happen. That's the general idea, though. So as we move that ahead for the next few hours, these storms progress pretty much southwest, or say west-southwest, to east-northeast. So they're going to be moving to the north and east. So I would say pretty much right through San Antonio, put a line from Eagle Pass to San Antonio, and let's say just east of San Marcos. Everything north of there has the best chance of seeing any rainfall or thunderstorms or any severe weather. And again, the large hail, the main threat with these storms, very limited tornado threat, if any at all, and also the heavy downpours and frequent lightning. But as the storms approach our central counties, including Bexar and all counties northward, they'll likely weaken because the air won't be as unstable. It'll be the middle of the overnight, so that's good news. But as we head towards, say, 7 a.m. Saturday, notice a lot of that pink and yellow and orange. It's pretty much gone because all the atmosphere stabilizes, the front pushes through, the low pushes through, moves all the precipitation to the east. Still some leftover showers early in the morning on Saturday, but for the most part, everything will look much, much calmer. It will be breezy to windy tomorrow and much colder behind the front. Temperatures 50s and 60s. Might see an early afternoon high in San Antonio in the low 70s and then dropping later in the day. One of those kind of fun weather days. Tomorrow, much, much better. Absolutely, Mickey, my pleasure. And Vix Trevino. Condolences to who? The Miami Heat? All right, here's the forecast for this evening. Scattered thunderstorms, best chance again after the middle of the evening hours, say 10 o'clock on. Could have isolated ones before that, but more widespread later. Best chance north and west of Bexar County. Some of them could be severe. Large hail, once again, the main threat. 61 the overnight low. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. So a little breezy. Around any storms, though, they'll be much gustier. Could see gusts of 20 to 30. In the storms, of course, higher. So 10 to 15 is the overall wind speed, not around the storms. And here's your forecast for tomorrow. Leftover showers in the morning at 7 a.m., especially east of San Antonio. Can't rule out an isolated thunderstorm tomorrow morning, but that would not be strong or severe. Extreme eastern counties, that's possible, but I'm thinking highly unlikely by that point. Noon tomorrow, all of us should be dry, mostly cloudy skies, a little more sun by the end of the day, but breezy. There's that high of 73. It might hit it a little earlier than 5 p.m. though. I see dropping temperatures, and you'll see as we go into that 14 day, look at Sunday morning, a low of 43. So cool, chilly stuff really. North winds at 10 to 20 throughout the day, but notice the temperatures rebound really nicely heading into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We get back into the low 80s Wednesday, mostly sunny. Thursday and Friday, mostly sunny, mid 80s. And that's pretty much how we stay all the way through Friday, April 18th. So once we get beyond tomorrow morning, looks like another prolonged dry spell moving in. The drought monitor didn't really show any improvement, even though we got some rain last week. So unfortunately, that drought is likely going to get worse or stay about the same. So that's your forecast. I'll have more today on Ken's 5 News at 4 and 5. Coming up in a few minutes, I'll be heading into the studio. Bill Taylor will be in at 6 o'clock. And also for our 10 o'clock newscast, I'll likely be here in the Digital Center doing more of the online digital weather, keeping you updated with that. So make sure to tune in to Ken's 5 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10. And also keep checking back with kens5.com, and we'll have more updates on Facebook and YouTube. So until then, have a good afternoon. Watch the 4 o'clock news if you can. All right, thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Make sure to keep an eye to the sky and put your cars under something if you're living in San Antonio, north or westward. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.